So far, it hasn't been the greatest. They've been able to get top four multiple times, but have not made their distinction inside of North America like they wanted to amongst these titans. And this is where it all starts, John. Up against TSM on Consulate. We're already halfway through the bans here. Jackal and Nomad going to get taken out. But honestly, up against TSM, it seems like the odds are stacked against them still. Even with the time off and the work that they've more than likely put into what they're bringing to this best of three today, I still see TSM, having the edge.
Yeah, definitely going to be the case. It's obviously a little bit hard to make these sorts of predictions, seeing as we haven't had a whole lot of competition between the previous time these last two teams face. So a lot of these teams will have potentially done a lot of prep that we may have not been able to see. So we could see some new things today, like the analyst desk has been mentioning, because we get a vigil ban there to finish things out. Yeah, we might not see all of that today just because teams are also getting prepped for SI. But in the case of Oxygen, there's still a little bit to be won here if they're able to make their way all the way through the brackets. We'll see what they're going to be willing to bring out here against TSM as we get ready to hop into round number one here. Let's take a look and see what our teams have to bring us to the table.
Well, Consulate in recent history has changed up quite a bit. Well, at least in the last year. A lot of teams avoiding the top floor now. No one wants to go to console office, and you can't exactly blame them. There's way too many windows on this map in order to combat a lot of different angles. So most teams are favoring the basement, switching on over to the split site, and then going towards lobby. And it seems like OXG are going to stick to these plans. We're going to have a 6-pick in as well, as Fox is going to pick up the Mozzie.
So head in game here, take a look and see what setups are going to look like here. See if Oxygen's going to do anything out of the ordinary. More than likely not going to be the case, just judging from the operator lineup that they're bringing to the table right now. This aligns pretty well with what we would normally see out of this. And now it's just up to TSM to scout this out, come up with a plan to look for the counter here, as the rest of the members of OXG are busy reinforcing those floor hatches there in order to deny the access downstairs. Fox also setting up that upstairs hull too, as we're probably going to see some extended pressure coming out from them. You can see that hatch already getting destroyed. That'll be a safe fallback for whoever's going to remain up here on the third floor to try and play that retreat angle.
Yeah, roam extension here for Oxygen, and it could actually work out really, really well for them. Minimal soft destruction here for TSM. They're not going to pick up the Ash. Instead, they're going with the Sophia and the Sledge, and this still works out extremely well for them. They want to prioritize that piano area in the mid floor and work for the vertical play, but this is exactly what Oxygen is trying to slow down or halt in any capacity. So it looks like TSM is going to have to dedicate themselves to the full map clear. We'll have to see how this goes.
It's going to be a bit of a slow start here, as you guys might normally expect. TSM still a lot of investigation to do, especially on the third floor if they're looking to start their clear from there, as things would indicate from the three players on Repel right now. But Vertical gonna make a play, running to the outside. No one to catch him on the other angles as well here. Just a free pick onto Bolo, and he'll be able to safely fall back to the depths of the building.
Yeah, usually an extremely safe spot to play, and that's what Bolo has assumed. You rappel down the side of the building, you can't get C4'd, and if anybody hops out on Suicide Balcony, they can't kill you either, but Vertical finds the only spot that you can possibly abuse to get that kill. Great lead off here for Oxygen, definitely setting pace in the first minute.
A big kill to be sure, especially with it going completely unresponded to at this point. Anybody on the TSM roster. That said, though, TSM is making progress on clearing things out upstairs, but that's of minimal consequence now. Oxygen already got the man advantage they wanted to play with. They still have an extended roam presence sitting up here on the inside of console at the depths of this floor. That'll be Laxing playing into that position, but as you can see, he has a fallback hatch to work with as well here, and may even then still potentially be able to go 1-for-1 if he decides to commit himself to a fight here, which would still leave Oxygen in an advantageous position. But that's not going to happen. It's going to go up by one more number here as Laxing picks up the second kill for Oxygen and safely retreats to the depths of yellow.
I'm pretty sure that someone needs to check Laxing's computer. I mean, I swear, this guy is always in a spot where he just gets freebie kills and no one drones him. Oxygen all across the board to start us off here on Consulate. Almost a perfect round. This is all down to geometrics outside yellow, but he's got a lot of work to do. Still has plenty of time, but this is more than likely going to be all for naught. This is probably an Oxygen round here after they play a fantastic roam game.
Yeah, unfortunately, not much really for TSM to work with at any point during that round, as they were constantly fighting from the back foot after they had lost that initial pick due to the run out there. Oxygen really was able to just continue pushing it further and further, as we saw with Laxing's positioning upstairs and then later downstairs as well. And I mean, past that point, there's not really a whole lot to talk about. TSM has just been falling player by player here, as you mentioned, Stokes, to the roam game from OXG, and now they're really crunching down on it, not allowing any access here for Geo to that yellow door And obviously not going to leave him with much of a way in on the garage side, despite the fact that he is hard briefed because we still have both of the mute jammers sitting on the panel. So just not really any options for Gio to play with here. I doubt he's even going to really try to play aggressively here, just using the time to allow his team to discuss what went on during that opening round.
Yeah, makeshift timeout here for TSM is the rest of the Oxygen members are going to go hunting, but no one trying to give up their lives, nobody trying to give the stat pad up at all. And good call here from TSM as well, is they really just lose their lives early on because of that pick on Sabolo. The rest of the remaining squad just didn't have enough, exposable people, or really people that you could put on the front lines you want to give up. They have too much important utility that works for the map. Zofia was really truly the only one there that was expendable at that moment in time. Granted, you could push a bonnet into there, but everyone got fragged out so fast after that initial frag that nothing could really be done. They didn't stick to the drone game, didn't clear out the top floor correctly, and that's exactly what you're going to get if you don't respect what Oxygen is doing with the map. So TSM more than likely going to go back to the drawing board and then hop right back in.
Either way, a definitive start there for Oxygen. Certainly not the way that TSM would have wanted to start this series off, but it's only one round, thankfully. And now they'll try and see if they can maybe speed things up or clear things a bit more appropriately so as not to have to deal with such a strong roam game from OXG. Aside from that, it is going to be the first floor hold here coming in from Oxygen Lobby, to be more specific. We're already seeing that extended roam get set up on the rooms sitting directly above the appropriate sites, as well as throughout most of the second floor to just deny positioning in general. Bio is going to be a key component of this as we see him working to reinforce things over towards the bathroom, as that often becomes a key bunker for any defenders looking to fend off pushes onto the actual sites.
This can be quite interesting here. We have Warden along for the ride, as well as Rook, two operators we don't see too often, especially with Rook coming along. So looks like Vert's going to be using his shield more than likely inside of connector upstairs, just towards projector. Rook with Slash looks like he wants to prioritize yellow and has some crossfire angles here as well to assist any of his teammates. So looks like they want to have an extended hold up here, just like they did on the previous round, except that one was with basement. So they really need to hold on to this top floor now, mainly due to the same issues. It's all that vertical play that can achieve with that sledgehammer.
Not a whole lot of time having gone by in the round so far, so still plenty of time for TSM to play with here as they're choosing to be cautious with their opening push, and possibly going to start with some aggression into the basement here if the Chiefs' work is anything to note on that one. But the first kill is going to come from Merc this time, as TSM able to successfully manage those repels and actually catch out Biologic on a transfer there inside of the connector hall between the sites.
All Slash Yug abandoning yellow and coming downstairs, trying to hold down things inside of circle desk, as the rest of TSM still waiting outside just for some progress to happen throughout the map. Nice pick by Merc earlier on, but now he's trying to get rid of what seems to be initially an evil eye, but doesn't seem like he got it. There it finally goes, able to make an angle as well here. So get a pick on Bolo in the meantime though, so things have equalized all of a sudden. Not too much map control going into the favor of TSM, as they're still stuck outside and just playing these repels. Don't know exactly if they've worked their way into the basement yet. We saw Achieved working along down there, and actually, yes, they have. Seems as though TSM wanted to clear out the basement and possibly make some plays out of this area.
Not really going to be any defense set up on the basement position, because Oxygen probably feels secure with the hold they have back up on the second floor and the map control that comes with it, as it hasn't been challenged that much by TSM. But the laser focus from them has allowed them access, I believe, to the inside of Piano, where they're now already getting the diffuser down onto the ground. There we go, Laxing, Fox, and Vert now have to attempt to pull off the retake while a player down here, because of the fact they didn't have the appropriate pressure to stop the play going over onto Piano. Fox tries to quickly flick onto Merc, but he already has toilets control and is going to be able to quickly manage Fox here with an off-angle victory. Chala adds one more here for TSM and leaves Laxing alone in the 1v4 to try and clutch this one out. It's going to be a tough one, not looking likely, and even worse, he's only got 15 seconds left to get himself onto that counter defuse. It's not going to happen. Geometric shuts it down, and TSM claim the trade round here on number 2.
Well, very fast course correction here from TSM. Looks like they just needed an extended break with a thermite standing outside, and now everything is as right as rain. TSM back to form, 1-1 here between these two after TSM with quite the take. Don't even try and deal with the top floor hold from Oxygen. Instead, they go downstairs and translate that into a plant inside of Piano after moving their way on up yellow. Get bathroom control with Merc, and eventually get the round win. I mean, it was actually just very well done. There was nothing that Oxygen really did from upstairs to prevent that. Merc gets the pick from antechamber window and eventually just swings on inside, plays the bathroom for the rest of the time. And Oxygen on their retake just wasn't handled very well. It didn't really seem like they knew where the pressure could possibly be coming from or where these players were going to be. Just walking aimlessly through the site, trying to clear angles. And, you know, when it comes down to clearing those angles, sometimes you got a 50-50 shot on what side you swing a door. And it just so happened that Oxygen swung wrong. So TSM claimed that round as we move on over to the split site.
And TSM really just taking their time with that push as well. We could see obviously trying to use quite a bit of the drone work in order to find an opening with which they could use to work into the site. And they do that pretty much head on, as we see them ignore most of that upstairs pressure and never really lose a lot in that round as a result of it, with maybe Bolo being the exception. Still have not much of a problem with getting into piano, getting that defuse onto the ground, and overall just closing out the round from that point forward. So good follow-up there from TSM after a little bit of a bumpy start due to the roam game back on round number 1 by pretty much ignoring it for the most part on round number 2 here. Things are going to change up, of course, for the Oxygen Camp 2. They are not going to make a reattempt on the same site. Instead, it looks like we are going down to a different one here.
Yeah, handling things over here on the split site and bringing Mira here as well for Oxygen. Alongside with that Pulse, so plenty of information to gather for OXG. See how they want to use these mirror windows. But we have a newer one here placed on Closet, but this hallway one that Laxing's currently running over towards the bottom of admin stairs is one that we traditionally see. It's nice to try and prevent any pushes coming from Garage once they try and take control of the kitchen area. And this other one, well, it seems like they have a nice angle out into the main hallway here for lockers, as they've created a lot of soft destruction to try and assist that angle. So Oxygen set up down low with plenty of nitro cells. Vertical actually not switching over to a nitro cell himself. Has a deployable shield here, so we're only going to have 2 pieces of artillery. But now Slash off the board as Merc makes an entrance upstairs.
And 2 different people repelled on that same window as well, so a brutal angle for Slash to try and play against there. I think we had 4, if not all 5 members of TSM on the admin repel within those last couple of seconds there before Slash made the peak. So just an unfortunate turn of events for him. That will give over the control to TSM. I think of the entirety of the upstairs, it looks like there's one other player potentially on the other side still towards yellow, but other than that, they've got the second floor and they can begin the process of just transitioning this down into a first floor plant if they're going to go about this in kind of the expected way from this point forward. Yeah, here's the other player that's still upstairs. It's going to be Vertical playing on the inside of console, but he's quickly going to give that up, fall back through the hatch, and just play under the standard position on yellow stairs instead. And even that's not going to happen now, as he's been droned out yet again.
The information is bountiful for TSM clearing this top floor as they force Oxygen into the mid-level, but that's going to be a good read for Fox, and this is one of his prime operators. We've seen him tear up the game before. This exact same position. Nitro sells the lead-off kill for Oxygen, taking down Achieve. That sledgehammer will do no more work. All down to soft destruction on Bolo and Merc to try and make some magic happen. They need to try and pressure these downstairs players. Otherwise, one of these Nitro cells can stop the plant. With very minimal time, TSM is running out of options. Could possibly try and force downstairs, but instead they just go for it. Geometric going to switch things up as well. Nitro cell not tossed just yet. Breaching rounds going in. Trying to break up this flooring, but the plant going to be secured here by Geo. No one can possibly stop him now. Fox not quick enough to the information, but can still read things out for the rest of his members. But now it's Oxygen fighting fire with fire. Merc drops down a hatch and fries 2. Trying to find his 3rd, but the SMG-11 just too powerful in Bio's hand inside of this 2 versus 2. Vertical still trying to find some action over on yellow, but it might be the priority of running upstairs to handle these 2 members. Last remaining, Bolo and Shala, both on vertical angles now, and well, speak of the devil, and he shall arise. He finds ahead. The 1.5 times scope can't do it, though, as Chala locks him out. They have the angle on the bomb, and it's all said and done inside of round 3. TSM with a great execute, a great plant, and a great post-plant to wrap things up with a tight little bow.
Valiant attempt there from Oxygen, but this time it's pressure from the opposite direction that ends up getting the better of them. The drop down from above there ends up being too strong, as well as the fact that they're able to establish that plan and get into post plant so quickly when we eventually devolve that round down to the 2v2. Just such a hard retake for the Oxygen players at that point once they had both established themselves to the inside of admin, and a very solid hold for TSM to be able to shut down the rest of that round with. They'll take the lead now at 2-1. Oxygen gonna have to start to work a little bit more here in order to try and pick up their rounds. But the good news is they have at least gone around the rotation and can now go back to Cafeteria and Garage, where we've already seen success for them at least once.
Yeah, you kind of gotta have to give Oxygen the benefit of the doubt inside of a split round site, simply because a lot of that hinges on the success of the Pulse player Fox there. And when you're trying to dodge EMPs and gunfire and everything else, as well as not having your nitro cell and trying to play in tandem with someone else, there's a lot of moving parts there. So for Oxygen, valiant effort to get it down to the 2v2. It just didn't work out for them. They had the proper play in mind, get a player upstairs to try and have some effect on those vertical angles. Just did not work out for them. So 2-1 in favor of TSM on our first site rotation as we head back downstairs. This is a basement site that previously Oxygen had a makeshift flawless round on.
Time to see if they can do it again. Obviously a big change from what the match has become now. Oxygen really controlling that first round, but has had a really bumpy ride for the next two after that as they've tried to control their roam game and shut down TSM early on with mixed results in between, allowing them to control rounds number 2 and 3. TSM's going to waste no time because they unfortunately did waste the time previously and were ending up unable to get this garage open. So on this round, it'll be the very first priority. We did see that electric claw come out from Fox, unfortunately just a couple seconds too late there. It's not going to be able to stop the explosion, but it does at least stun the attackers now as they start to move their way in, or stop them for just that split second or so when it hits them with the electricity. But they're going to try to take care of that too here, as they'll very quickly work to open the second wall.
And that one is not going to work either. So both the Electro Claws falling on deaf ears. Both panels now open. TSM with full reign of this garage as Fox is going to back up instead of playing that yellow pillar position. That's a really, really good idea. Get out of there while you can. Otherwise, you're more than likely going to have a nade land at your feet. And no one exactly likes getting blown to little pieces. So Oxygen still have most control of the map, but TSM still has a lot of time on the board to do something here. Achieved, already working inside of yellow. Doesn't really have to worry about any swings from, white van or anything of the sort since the garage panels are already open. This is a great checklist so far here from TSM. Now they just need to prioritize this top floor hold. I don't see Oxygen trying to give anything up, but no, it's a rush inside instead. TSM, it's all hands on deck, but oh no, Biologic with the lead-off kill now as he takes down one. But the plant's going down behind a box here inside the garage. Gio's gonna get it set. Merc starts to go off. He finds two. Laxing, you never drop a hatch again. You stay upstairs when this man's got an R4C in his hands. He downs one, but it's all left up to Vertical inside of what is now a 1 versus 1. He can possibly pick up Bio here as Achieve seems to have ran back outside. He's going to play yellow instead. And with the case plant position here, this could honestly be quite awkward for him. He doesn't have any frag grenades to try and prevent either. So cross angle, Achieve gets one. Can he possibly find the second? He can. TSM put round 4 in the bag.
Great shutdown and lockdown, you could even say there from Achieved as he holds it from outside of yellow door to finish off the 1v2. But it's really Merc that does all the heavy lifting in the post plant there in the mid side. Beautiful work from him to control the situation, pick up the important kills against the Oxygen members that were holding the retake positions from the inside of cafeteria and behind areas like pipes. Cleans them pretty much all up on his lonesome, including that rotate down hatch from Laxing as well, and make sure that the team has what they need to be able to shut down that round in the eventual 1v2 from Achieved.
That round right there for Oxygen is just extremely poor. So TSM just rush in through garage, no other control of the map, didn't have another man inside the building, all except for Achieved on yellow stairs. And the reason that that's a big problem is because when you have a rush like this happen, I mean, you guys can see where the case got planted. It's right next to Slash on that metal box. The issue is that someone can simply play white van and stop that because Oxygen still have piano control. There's no vertical play happening, no anything at all. They gave up the entirety of garage, all except for the pipes area. And that's exactly what happened. TSM rush in, the smoke goes off, they end up getting a lead-off kill, but what is that worth when TSM not only gets the plant, but you don't know where it's going down. Merc gets a 2K, he gets down, and then you have a makeshift 1 versus 2 post-plant with a guy that has an ACOG already all the way outside. It's going to be very difficult for you to win that. So I'd like to see Oxygen try and play the map just a little bit longer in those certain areas where they don't have to give up map control just yet. It seems like they just simply said, oh, you guys want it? Ah, well, you can have it. We don't really need it anyways.
So we're going to see TSM work their way out once again here as we enter round 5. Already starting to get towards the end of the first half here as this map is progressing very, very quickly. So far into the favor of TSM, but Oxygen's going to look to turn that around if they can get the opportunity to do so. Rome game is alive and well, though a little bit more controlled this time, especially when it comes to the second floor here, as we're not seeing much of a Rome game up there at all. TSM has already moved into admin and taken full control of areas beyond that, going up to vending, the spiral stairs, and even having presence on the upper balcony now, as Bolo is going to be hopping in to start taking control over towards console too. They don't have the usual hold here. They've just figured that out with the drone. So now they're going to be clear to start moving downstairs and beginning the actual clear to put themselves in a position to attack the basement again here.
Having flashbacks of accidentally calling Merc Mork on this map for just a split second there, but you know, we won't talk about it too much. We're not making that mistake today, at least just yet. Oxygen with the...
That's angry Merc. You see that? It's Mork.
It's the Malding Merc. That's what it is. Yeah, but Oxygen with a nice little mirror setup here inside of the bathroom. I like what they're doing here with putting Laxing on the roam. That MP5 with a 1.5 times scope. A new fan favorite and a pro favorite as well, sight-wise. So nice to have that, as well as those Wamai discs to prevent anything projectile-wise from coming in and trying to mess with him. And he's more than likely going to be able to sit inside this bunker for quite some time. Drone work still out for TSM, as they still have to clear out this entire mid-floor, and that has been the beauty of this setup so far. Oxygen have delayed quite a bit of time here, but they could possibly run into some problems. The good news is, though, there's no real way for them to get inside and actually mess with Laxing, so he's just going to drop off instead. They do actually have the single panel as the EMP goes off, so Gio is able to use one of his explosive charges to get that open, and now TSM with full mid control.
A little bit of a slower round here so far from TSM. The kind of slow fallback strategy from Oxygen has been working really well, as this whole round has led to a whole lot of nothing for TSM so far, except for small amounts of map control, which they're now going to have to hope they can execute upon in these final 30 seconds or so, as we're now seeing them try to get into position to do now. Chala specifically trying to put pressure onto the back staircase. I don't know if he's going to be able to leverage pushing forward just on his lonesome here. Oxygen still has Laxing full committed to that angle, as well as a couple other players watching areas like spirals. This is going to be tough for TSM, considering we're still at a full 5v5 to make anything happen here. Okay, never mind. A double kill on entry rolls right in for them so far with no trades. Not even a whole lot of damage getting traded. Just as I say that, Bolo will take a big clip to his face, but still stays alive, as a third kill is now found for his team.
Rough stuff here for Oxygen, but they do still have a chance. But even then, it continues to get dimmer and dimmer as the last little sputters of this flame are on vertical, but that's not even going to matter either. Merc, a Grim Reaper today on Consulate. Oh my god, TSM all over the board. That's going to be a flawless round on top of the already makeshift flawless round that they had before. A pixel moved in that hallway and Merc shot it. I just want to point that out real quick. That man is terrifying. I don't know what their energy drink sponsor is, but whatever it is, you guys need to drink that. That's what you need to drink.
I was going to bring up that last kill because, like, I don't even think he was peaked for that angle. But as you said, he saw, like, the tiny pixel of his head pop out on the replay there. I don't know if the stream called it, but we saw the blood splatter come out, and that indeed finished off the kill on that round. So a decisive 4-1 lead now being built up here by TSM. Oxygen seems to be on the right path with their play in the early and mid portions of the round, but at least off of that last one right there on round number 5, unable once again to find the frags that actually stop the push from TSM and keep them out of the sight. They move in, take full control yet again, and get their 4th round.
Yeah, this is just something else right now. I mean, Merc especially is just all over Oxygen, no matter what they're trying to do, anything at all. And the problem is that Oxygen are trying to create plays in order to get back at TSM, but that's exactly what they want them to do. They're already cutting all of these, avenues off. We saw the Mira try to rotate out of security and make a play for pipes, and he just ran right into the open arms of Bolo, sitting, outside just waiting for him to run towards pipes. That was it. Oxygen just really seem to be tossing bodies at things that they necessarily shouldn't be right now, and that's where they're running into a lot of these problems, and this is something that we've seen in the past with Oxygen as well, is that even though this squad has so much talent on this team, the playmaking sometimes just doesn't work out for them, especially when they're getting bested inside of, the fragging department. So for Oxygen, this timeout is probably a really, really good idea right now. Let's think about how these rounds have went. I mean, as of right now, John, I don't know if they did plant that last round because I'm seeing stars from that. It went by so fast.
I don't think they did.
But they had 3 plants in a row on the previous rounds, and that is not something that you see every single day on an offensive side on Consulate.
Yeah, I mean, like, if they needed a plant in the last round, they probably could have gotten it with the amount of control they had, but I think they just got the kills on site so quickly they didn't end up needing it. But Either way, TSM has been in the real story here is that TSM has been controlling the attacking side here for the previous 4 rounds, and it really just hasn't stopped. Oxygen had that one really great round at the beginning, and unfortunately, we've seen a failure to readjust to TSM's own adjustment after that fact, despite some promising starts to the rounds throughout the course of the half from OXG. That pause has to come into effect now. A 5-1 scoreline. It's going to be tough, to say the least, here for Oxygen to try to work their way back from if they're unable to rally together this last one here.
Well, there still is an opportunity even at 5-1, mainly because, well, TSM isn't on map point just yet, so you still have a chance to make an error, obviously, margin of error there for you. And Oxygen, though, still really want to get this round, under their belt, because if not, that barrel is not, looking the best when you're staring down it. So TSM still on the lead off here. And the other nice thing I was going to say is that, once Oxygen switch on over to the offensive side, they're going to have a lot more control of the pacing of the map. The problem could be, though, depending on how TSM handles things, is if the roam game is going to be just, that oppressive. We'll have to see once we get to this round switch, though. TSM going quite standard here, clearing out from admin and across. It's Merc on a lonesome push right now inside of short.
Gonna have some pressure coming on to Fox here in a moment. Actually chucking out the Nitro cell nice and early. No explosion onto it. Oh, there it is. But it's hoping, I think, for Achieve to maybe get a little bit closer in hopes of shooting it so he could win it out on the timing, but not going to happen. Achieve gets the better of that one and is able to avoid all of the damage from the explosive charge. Vert, ooh, actually with a slight opportunity there for a second. I believe the player he was looking for was prone behind a barricade, so not going to be able to actually see it, but he sticks to that angle. Or checks it again in a moment. Might be able to pick something up. Seems the time has passed, though. Vert now more worried about players potentially trying to work their way up through Visa steps, and he's got a couple other explosions getting chucked into his face, so maybe a few other things for him to pay attention to as well now here as he tries desperately to maintain second floor connector control.
Well, Oxygen have done a bang-up job of delaying time, but now they just need to win the round. The shield's been dealt with, and Merc looking for the pick onto Slash, but not coming just yet. Still stuck inside of connector. Achieve still playing suicide balcony as well. Vert has so many opportunities here to make a play, as he's actually going to continue to fall back into console office, and this is going to extend this to even more time. They have to figure out that's clear and then try to push into console, but TSM are going to actually go through a separate avenue. They don't want to deal with the top floor push anymore, and that's exactly what they needed to do. They're running low on time here, and since they have pushed people out of projector, there is an opportunity to plant, but they don't have the lead-off pick. TSM need to try and collapse now, and this is where everything is going to happen. This is where the rubber hits the road, but it's laxing inside of Z to finally get some magic happening on Oxygen's side.
Timing's unfortunate there for Geo. He was ready to take a fight up until that very same moment where we saw Laxing take the swing, and he's going to be able to chain it together into a second one now as well. Third kill overall here for Oxygen as Fox takes down Bolo, brings it down to only one here now from TSM, and we're not even going to be able to finish the cast. They go down so fast. What a rebound from OXG to be able to maintain control there in the final seconds and shut down the push from TSM to finally get that second round on the defensive side here before the half closes out.
So 4-2 in favor of TSM, and that was a desperately needed round there for Oxygen. Great stuff, great setup, and amazing execution of the plan overall, especially from Vertical upstairs. He delayed so much time and forced TSM into other means that they didn't necessarily want to take. They try and go for a, makeshift execute onto Circle Desk, but all of the kills are bountiful for OXG, and it is a barren wasteland for TSM. It seems like they are going to have to try and figure things out now on this defensive side, but they're starting ahead by 2 rounds, so they at least have some time to get these things figured out. And as of right now, this entire team seems to be shooting back, especially Merc. It seems like we've had some consistent gunfights for the rest of the squad. They just haven't been able to find these bodies simply because of how well Merc has been performing.
Very, very true. So now we're going to have to see if that issue continues to persist when the tables are flipped, or maybe Oxygen will be on better footing for this attacking side, being the more aggressive team that they are. We'll see how all that will pan out, of course, over the next few seconds. Just waiting to see what TSM's overall setup is going to look like here for their initial basement defense as we start things out in the second half. It's looking pretty similar to what we saw from Oxygen. A lot of setup going down on the second floor right now in order to allow them to maintain a roam game, and quite a few of these players that are participating in that setup more than likely going to end up falling back to the basement, of course, but still, we'll have that roam game alive and well between Achieved and Bolo in order to try and keep this control away from OXG for as long as possible.
Okay, well, Oxygen having a pretty traditional setup here, all except for the Fuse, which is a new character to this
Pretty
cast.
non-traditional.
Yeah, you could definitely say that, and for a couple of different reasons. I mean, we don't see him that much, mainly because his cluster charges were never really the greatest thing. They have a very unique audio when you set them down, so everyone knows that, you know, you should probably leave the area unless you want to be tiny little pieces. So, or you really enjoy hockey. It just depends, because they are hockey pucks. But Fuse overall, he has a pretty strong kit now. They gave him secondary hard destruction. He's got the best AR in the game, AK-12, angled grip, magnified sights, amazing rate of fire, great damage. I mean, you can't complain in that department at all. The only thing about it is he's a 3 armor, and his utility isn't the greatest, but for sites like this, it's very, very strong, where you can get that, you know, top floor presence or, you know, top down presence and start to use those cluster charges to clear out a lot of this site utility, and that's exactly why Oxygen are bringing him. They want to try and break up all this barbed wire, get rid of these ADSs, and do it in pretty quick fashion. I mean, cluster charges, now that he has 4, that's a lot of projectiles being unloaded into sight.
And a lot of annoying audio spam as well. They could potentially get in the way of another attack or something like that. So could be part of the plan. We'll see, of course. There's going to be a 1-for-1 exchange between separate parties here. Merc is going to be the one that ends up getting picked, and that's a massive amount of the fragging power from TSM that's now gone. Obviously, we're on a different half, so like different players tend to take over in those situations, so it's not the be-all, end-all of fragging power for TSM, especially since we're on a new side here, but definitely going to hurt more than likely in the overall run of things throughout the course of this round. Bert, in the meantime, was lost from Oxygen's end of that exchange, so no more Habana. They do have backup hard breach, though, in the form of Slash, so if they still need that, they've got it.
What do you mean they need Slash? They don't need Slash at all, John.
That's
They
true.
need biologic.
I didn't even realize that Fuse had the can opener. That just passed me by. So there you go. They actually don't even... They've got triple backup here on their hard breach. They're good to go. And now they're going to start raining hellfire from above here as they've got the Fuse utility.
Oh, this might be terrifying as Chala's going to peek into this. This is really, really scary for the Fuse player, depending on if Chala's going to play the M590 up close like this. Smoke grenade now going to deal a little bit of damage to Bio, but he instead goes outside. They've already got one of the panels open here, but with very minimal time left, they desperately need a plant. Chala's still having 2 smokes as well. Minimal access to the garage door means that these smokes are going to be even more important. Swings out, but actually ends up getting killed by Foxay, pushing directly into sight. Now down to the 3 versus 1 as TSM cleans things up, and it's not even really TSM. Let's be honest. It's Bolo jumping in here and making some things work. Hops right through the hole in which the squad made to see down through that hatch the opposite way to clear white, but now Bolo's going to use it to decimate the rest of Oxygen.
Actually, like a really close gunfight there between both of those teams in the actual site in those final seconds. But as you mentioned, yeah, with a counter hatch drop that we saw come in from Bolo to really seal the deal on the back line from the push from OXG is what pushes it over the edge and allows for TSM to control that 5th round here as they're going to start out the second half now on defense with an advantage as well. So far at 1-0, but looking to build that up ever so quickly towards 7 as they're now only 2 rounds away from already getting the 1-0 lead in the series.
This feels like one of the fastest consulates I've ever commentated in my entire life. And I commentated that 7-0 that TSM had it up against, I want to say, Luminosity, question mark? No, I think it was them or Tempo Storm. Either way, Michael and I casted it. It's like one of him and I's only commentaries together. But it was like one of the fastest maps I've ever seen in my entire life. This feels like it's exactly on the same pace, even though Oxygen are battling back. They've gotten some rounds. There's been some tight, 1vx situations for both of these squads. It's just TSM seemingly edging out Oxygen in every facet right now. I mean, even on the retakes, TSM have been so dominant.
TSM looking to continue that streak of dominance here with the downstairs hold yet again. Or I should say the first floor hold, excuse me. That's technically still downstairs, depending on your the way you use that word. But either way, it's going to be the piano hold here now, which we've seen teams drift to quite a bit in the recent months here. The second floor has really fallen out of favor recently instead for this site and the split. Instead, as I'm sure you guys have noticed over the past couple months with the meta evolving as well. Drone work coming in from Oxygen to clear out Visa relatively quickly, and I would imagine the same thing is going to be done for admin if it hasn't already been done, as we do have players hopping into that room already. Vertical now taking the control for Oxygen, clearing all the way up to Copy. Gonna have to stop there more than likely, as you do still have both Bolo and Chala holding the long desk as well as projector there. So if Vertical tries to go any further, he's more than likely gonna have to fight one of those 2 players.
I'm loving this lineup from TSM as well. Lots of traps and lots of abilities to try and slow down this push here from Oxygen. You can see Chala also bringing an operator we don't get to talk about enough, Alibi. One of the fan favorites and one of my personal favorites as well. Great SMG and one of the most unique abilities that we have in the game, able to put holograms up that if you shoot them, it ends up marking the target that shot them. So any of these offensive members hit one of those prismas, all of a sudden you're marked out and that information is read to the defense. So you're gonna have to be safe about what clones you're shooting, or if you're shooting a real person or not. Chala still playing here inside a projector, has some presence over towards the suicide balcony, as that'll be biologic on rappel, but he still has friends upstairs as well. As we seem to have Bolo over here inside a front desk. Not too much done here for Oxygen. They've gotten one member in upstairs, pushing across from admin. Some presence on that balcony once again, and then a mid-floor push from the exact same direction. So it's still east to west, but they haven't actually made a play for Circle Desk or any control of the upstairs areas just yet.
Another very, very slow round here between these two teams. We're talking about how fast this match has been playing out, but we still have a lot of rounds that have gone very close to, if not all the way to the timer, as we've been used to seeing throughout the course of the previous year. And this round's no exception. Even further than that, we're seeing a lot of rounds just in this map where we go very deep into the round without a kill, but that's now going to start to change. Fox starts us out with the entry here as his team moves in to clear out first floor spiral. They're going to start wrapping it into the main lobby here in order to get their plan. But still, with 48 seconds remaining, they're not necessarily in a rush. Slash going to make the first attempt here now. I don't believe TSM have a way to counteract that, so it should go down without too much. Oh, never mind. Bolo and Chala do find counters, and even worse, Bio, who is supporting the plant, also going to get taken down by Chala on the very same push. TSM has brought this round back under their control yet again, and it's looking like it's going to stay that way. Fox goes down. Everything is on Laxing here, and oh no, he gets baited by a clone here. Still is able to get the kill regardless, so makes it out of that tough spot, and he's got a goo mine in his leg, and he's been tagged again. Laxing just can't get out of this situation right now. He doesn't even care anymore. There's only 10 seconds left. He's got to focus on the frags, or focus on keeping his KD solid, as this round seems like it's not going to go the way he would have hoped, and TSM will be getting their 6th.
Oh my god.
Man, and he almost wins it too if he had like 5 more seconds.
Oh man, that if you guys have never played Rainbow Six before and you're wondering what playing Rainbow Six Siege is like, everything that Laxing just experienced is what you experience 80% of the time.
I've actually got a really good metaphor for this.
What is it?
You ever been in first place on the last lap of a Mario Kart online match?
Oh god. Yes.
And then you get like 6 things that hit you all at once.
Yes.
That's pretty much the metaphor. Yeah, that's what happens.
My favorite is when you get blue shelled and then you go across like a ramp. You're like, oh man, I can still make time up. You get the little trick off the ramp so you get some extra boost. And then the second blue shell comes and hits you in the air and you fall down and the guy's got to recover you on the cloud, right? So it just takes even more time.
Mario Kart is the worst balanced esport. Changed my mind.
Need to locate
oh, dude. And now Nintendo's going to shut that one down, too. Look at you. Gosh. Come on, man.
Either way, moving into what is now map point already for TSM. They're soaring ahead in the scoreline here at 6-2. So far, flawless on their defenses as well. Going to try to see if they can keep it that way for a full rotation as they now go over here, the inside of split site, to try and seal the deal on map number 1.
All right. Well, obviously, should be a conversation point. This is TSM's map pick, everybody. Okay, in case you were wondering, you're just joining us and you're like, wow, Oxygen's really bad. No, it's TSM's map pick, okay? So we still have Cafe ahead of us. Granted, the last time these two squads played against each other, it didn't bode well for Oxygen either on that map, but it's still Oxygen's pick, and I think that that's something that we should definitely discuss. I mean, Oxygen is not a squad that is going to take this lane down. These are all players that really, really enjoy winning things, especially when it comes to Laxing and Fox. These guys have grinded for so long in this game and have continued to work forward. And obviously, this entire cast of characters that Oxygen have on this squad don't exactly take too kindly to losing. So I don't expect this best of 3 to all of a sudden go quietly into the night. We'll have to see what Oxygen have to say about this. It might not be on Consulate, but there's still a long road ahead for both of these squads.
Once again, slow beginnings here in the first couple. Oh, never mind. Okay, vertical. Every time I say it, someone dies like 10 seconds later. It's starting to make me angry.
Do you have the death note in front of you?
I don't know. Maybe I do. I have to be careful with that if that's the case.
Please just don't write my name. I appreciate you.
Merc's going to be our first player down for TSM. Bolo was almost the second as he crosses back through long desk there. and almost gets shot through the head. There's a player spamming him from the balcony that you saw on the left side of the screen just a second ago. Bolo's going to keep himself safe, though, and he will be able to fall all the way back down to basement to re-rotate to wherever he would please to. And Oxygen will be very happy with that opening pick. That's a lot to work off of now that they have the early advantage. Assuming that they can keep that going, they'll be in pretty good straits throughout the rest of this round. And even if they lose a player, they have that extra room to breathe now where they can take a loss here and not necessarily be in a terrible position as a direct result of it.
Well, halfway through the round now, and only thing to either of these squads' names is some map control and a kill for Oxygen. TSM trying to pick up the pieces here. Nitrocell out for Geo, but not going to do too much. Definitely did quite a bit with that AUG, though. Lots of damage done to Slash AUG upstairs, but not going to be enough for a kill. And after Bio pops in with a breaching charge or something of the sort, that door explodes nevertheless, and he's able to get a frag off that. The G8, a weapon we don't get to see too often because it's on Amaru and IQ, as strong as ever, folks, here inside of this last possible round for TSM if they're able to bring things back. Another Nitro Cell goes out, but Biologic was ready for that one. Slash dodging bullets as well. With that very minimal HP, they might want to change out here, but no, Bolo with 2 instead takes down Slash and Fox. Bio's been down from underneath with the shotgun. Oh no, John. It can't be like this, can it?
Here we go, though.
Oh, I think it absolutely can. Laxing gets some pressure downstairs. Vertical with 1 upstairs. Oxygen nipped that in the bud when it was desperately needed. That was getting very scary.
Yeah, quick moves from Laxing to cut off the basement hold there, as they probably felt pretty safe at that point, and thankfully he was able to lurk up onto them, along with Vert's eventual hold to make sure that they were still shutting things down. Very, very scary potential turnaround, though, coming in as TSM once more inches closer and closer to trying to shut this one down, but at the same time, OXG is not given up just yet. They're looking to come back, but now they've got to win the next 3 rounds consecutively here without dropping a single one. Certainly a promising start with the way the last round went, but it's a long crawl now for something that we haven't seen just as of yet from Oxygen today.
Yeah, that'll be 4 rounds in a row if they're able to do it, and that doesn't include overtime to actually win the map. So, yeah, long road ahead here for Oxygen. TSM only needing a singular round to push us on over to Cafe, and then you guys will get to see the beautiful analyst desk and Veli, who's looking, oh man, again, those Indochino suits. I'm telling you, they got all the boys looking good today. All of them. All of them.
Good fit.
Yeah. Shout out to Indochino once again, guys, because let me tell you, yeah, Veli just, smooshed both of us, so just want to let you guys know that there's a lot of bro love that goes on when it comes to the NA talent. So anyways, and back to, the matter at hand and what we should be talking about. Charlie's got a little bit of damage dealt to him, but that's honestly not going to matter too much. It might be a bullet difference inside of a gunfight, but Charlie should be playing pretty safe anyways, as he'll be playing for utility and possibly anything else that can try and work its way into sight. As for the rest of the TSM members, though, it looks like we're going for this extended roam once again. Merc, Bolo, and Geo all out on the field right now. Trying to find, or excuse me, achieved. Apologies, guys. That would be achieved upstairs with Bolo. But still have the trap operators on deck. Not really prioritizing the Malusi all too much. They've went with the Legion instead. And Legion in this last, year or two, getting a nerf to his kit, making it to where those goo mines are a little bit more difficult to use, but they still are as potent. So if you do step on one of those, still have to remove it from your foot, yada, yada, yada. You guys know the rest. But that doesn't seem like it's going to be too big of a deal for Oxygen. They're already working on the garage panels. They've got panel 1 and panel 3 both open now. They just need to try and get some map control. And they might not even do that. We saw TSM rush in the last time and make some magic happen and actually end up winning the round off of it. So.
Well, once again, as I'm sure you've heard me say this quite a few times already, a bit of a slow start here for OXG, but already seeing some action, man. I can't believe I just did that. I didn't even hit me until the kill came in too. Like, all right, I'm just not gonna cast the first 2 minutes of the rounds from now on. That's all on you, Stokes.
Anytime I hand it off,
way, TSM taking a lot of heat here. Bolo,
oh man,
Bolo down to sub 25. Charles still has that hit that Stokes mentioned from earlier back in prep phase. And either way, Oxygen, once again, with this kill and with the following damage onto Bolo, are going to put themselves into a really good spot to now start taking a lot of map control away from TSM, as they're going to have to be careful with any sort of aggressive plays from this point forward. Achieve. Going to try to swing into Piano there and nearly gets caught on the way back, but does look like he makes it to a safe spot. Bolo, of course, is there for the back assist if he needs it, but that's where I talked about before. He's got to be careful because he's a 25 HP. Can't stick his head out too far or he might go down too.
Yeah, granted, it is a 4v5. Lots of damage done to these TSM members, but Oxygen now taking quite a bit as well. The good news is that they've bided for this map control, and, you know, TSM has chosen to give it up instead of giving their lives, and that's going to be the proper play here. Still have a lot of utility to try and help out. Bolo has a nitro cell on hand to try and help with either vertical play or stop a plant. We'll have to see which way it possibly goes, but right now they're looking to see what these holes are. What a shot from Geo. Takes out Vert on yellow stairs. The plant starts up. Bolo's been killed, and now Geo trying to make it work. He sees his feet by the metal box, but he can't kill him. He gets a lot of damage off to the other member instead. Finds him outside, shotgun in hand, takes him down to the 2 versus 2. Oxygen with vertical play upstairs to try and keep this case safe. Don't know if they necessarily have the holes to see where Geo's diffusing, though. They have to run outside and try and find him. Geo gets off the diffuser. I believe he could have got it as well. Oh no, this is just all going so wrong. Oxygen pick up round 10 as we are now going to a 6-4 scoreline in between these two.
TSM trying to be so secure with the way that they were approaching that. Geo did not want to give up the possibility of a win if he could have turned that fight around, but as Stokes mentioned, there's a very good chance he might have had that full counter defuse if he had stuck it. Unfortunately, that's one of those things where we'll never really truly know, but it looked very, very close from our perspective, and either way, it's going to be close enough where TSM feels confident to reattempt that very, very same site. Just got to clean things up in the early round, and TSM's in a good position, but like Stokes has been mentioning, OXG is very, very quickly crawling their way back into this match. Now only 2 more rounds away from triggering OT in our first map.
Well, listen, Blue, you've been a commentator for a very, very long time, right? You've commentated a lot of titles, but there's an overarching line that is said in every single competitive FPS when it comes to objectives. And you know what that is?
No, I don't.
Pros don't fake. Pros don't fake. That's the line.
Yeah.
You know, and honestly, if pros didn't fake, then, you know, TSM would be on cafe. But that's not the case, is it? We're still here on Consulate. We're still existing in this, you know, terrestrial plane. I don't really know where we are right now. We're somewhere stuck between overtime and I don't know how Oxygen's still on this map. That's kind of where we're at right now. But Oxygen are still making it work. I mean, they're getting the lead off picks. The only bad part of that last round for them was the, you know, hold post plant, but they really didn't have to run into, you know, they didn't run into any other problems, mainly because of Geo hopping off the plant. That would have been the biggest one, but Oxygen still great map control, able to work all the way up and get that plant put down. That was the biggest step, but for TSM, it really was just missing the buck there by a quite large margin. I mean, they really did have an opportunity to close this out.
Won't harp too long on that, though, as they still have these 2 additional opportunities to pull off the exact same thing, and at least when it comes to this round, the opportunity to do it on the same exact site. Oxygen, and more than likely bring a similar playstyle to the table. We do already have a lot of drone work going on the second floor, trying to figure out where Bolo or anybody else who's playing into the roam game this time for TSM might be hanging out at now that they've cleared that out. We'll see Vert begin to move in, and in a moment here, we'll get to see if he'll have an opportunity to duel it out here against Merker, another player, potentially Bolo, if he decides to go the other way. Merc, meantime here, still been trying to maintain his own position. A little bit of trouble getting things started here on the defensive side, but in the meantime, Bolo, it's the opposite for him. He's going to shut down Bio on the initial push. We're going to see the first one of those EE-1D drones coming in from Lion. That's going to make the players stand still unless they want to be detected. Foxe will be able to pick up a trade off of that one, taking down Achieved and bringing us back into a 4v4. Vert's in a bit of a tough spot here. He can't really safely swing that angle, so he makes the wise choice and falls back, but Bolo is now going to get pinged on retreat, trying to go further back down those stairs as the second EE-1D rolls in here.
They really need some comms here. Oh, great audio. What? Okay. Yeah, okay. Awesome. That's the... these two have way too much mechanical skill. They just need to be stopped. I don't even know what to tell you just happened right there. But what we can tell you from the kill feed is they both hit each other in the head on, like, the first bullet and died. That's what happened. That was a trade. Okay, all right, 3 versus 3 in between these two. You don't see that one every day.
Lion helping us out there, making sure we get the nice trades in there.
That was a beautiful trade. Again, you don't see that every single day. I mean, Merc with a nice peek there off the audio cue, able to clean up Vert, but great shot by both of them overall. That's basically first bullet by both of them, and that's extremely, extremely impressive. But nevertheless, it gives Oxygen top floor control, and that's what they desperately needed. They still have Fox alive as well, but he's got a lot of work to be done with this sledgehammer as he starts knocking holes in floors, as Slash is knocking holes in walls, and they happen to be quite large since this is thermite. Busting out both sides of those and now trying to work their way in for a plant. It's going to be down to TSM with this utility to try and slow them down, but mostly Chala with those toxic babes. Hopefully we can hand it on over to John and someone doesn't die in the first 2 seconds.
Yeah, we're past the first 2 minutes, so I can safely cast this now because I can't really say that it's starting off slow. Polo's going to pick up the next kill here against Laxing as Oxygen attempt to work their way into the site. Once again, looks like primarily from the garage angle right now, but that's been smoked out. Fox with a nice defense here of the inside of security, but he is going to get traded out a second layer by the player sitting inside. He doesn't go down, though. Slash is actually able to take him down. Geo now takes security control and finishes off the kill onto Fox, brings this down into a 1v1. 7 seconds left, though. Slash has to get the defuse down to the table. Fakes it initially. Geo's just waiting this one out. He thinks Slash is going to go hunting for the kill, and he was correct to do that. Now Slash has to stick this, and more importantly, Geo has to quickly find him, which he's going to be able to do, and that will shut down map number 1 on round number 11 as TSM finally get that 7th round that they've been looking for quite a few rounds now.
Yeah, well, it took them 5 rounds on their defensive half to get it, but they finally sealed the deal. TSM win their own map pick here on Consulate.